a sporty style t-shirt made extra fancy with leather look jersey. Do you want to see it? Keep watching. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina. This is Lifting Pins and Needles, a channel all about sewing, limitless sewing. I am back again from my backyard, Spiderland, and I have been watching the floor carefully to see that there are no critters around that could potentially harm me. I don't like bugs, I just don't like them, but I think it's always nice to film outside. It's good for me to feel the fresh air. Actually, it's not that fresh anymore. It's very, very hot, but I just love being out here under this mango tree. There's lots of birds up here and parrots, and yeah, it's just nice being out here. Today I'm back with another video from my Pinned into Reality series. Now I have loads of these types of videos on the channel. The first one dates more than 2 years ago, so periodically when inspiration hits, I make these videos and I put them up with that sort of title so you know what they're about. It's basically I find inspiration on Pinterest. I have a Pinterest page where I'm constantly pinning and suddenly I sort of figure out how I'm going to do things, but I have to be in a sort of state of mind. You know, I have to be in a really creative state of mind to make these items come true. And actually this happened yesterday in a spur of a moment thing. During the morning I made this t-shirt, and this is a new pattern from Love Notions. It's a pattern release. I wasn't able to test due to time constraints. I did see the whole testing process in the Love Notions testing group that I'm a part of, and all the versions I'm seeing there are really sporty because this is a sporty style t-shirt. So what I'm talking about is the game day jersey, and this was released in women's sizes and children's sizes. So the kids sizes is unisex, so it could be for boys or girls. I'm focusing on the woman's version, of course, you know, because my son doesn't fit into the kids sizes anymore. The features of this t-shirt is that it's like a really sporty style football type jersey inspired pattern, and it's got a t-shirt length and a dress length with a split hem for interest. 2 different neckline options, scoop or a lapped V neckline, and it's got yokes in the front and the back. For sleeves, there's short sleeves and 3/4 lengths, and as options there's these little bands here for decoration, you know. Light to medium weight fabrics with good recovery. Now this is the hardest bit for me. If I ever want to make a t-shirt, I never have the right fabric. Rayon spandex is mentioned as a fabric that is suitable, and that is basically the only knit I can find around here, but I don't really like that. I don't really like that fabric for t-shirts. I think it's just too flimsy. I don't know. In my personal preference, I would love to have access to cotton spandex. I think that would be amazing, but I just can't find the stuff here. I just can't find it. French terry is also described, double brush poly. Now in Bolivia, there was double brush poly everywhere, but they don't sell that here. I've never seen it. What's cool about this pattern is that it has been released in sizes up to 5 extra large. So usually all the patterns are extra small to triple extra large, but there have been 2 more sizes added, and Tammy is working hard with a separate group of testers to increase the size range on a number of patterns and new patterns to come. So that's really good. So this pattern can work for many more people as well. As I said, the sizing goes from extra small to 5 extra large. It's got a standard bust option and a full bust option, and the body measurements go from a bust of 33 to 57.5 inches, so it's a bigger size range now. Hips 35.5 to 59.5. The bicep measurement is also mentioned, and on the largest size the bicep goes to 18 inches. The ease at the bust differs with the size and the bust option that you're sewing, whether standard or full bust, so anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of positive ease, and then at the hips it's around 4 inches of positive ease, so it's not a tight fitting t-shirt at all. Recommendations that you always choose your size based on your high bust that is, you know, provided in the size chart, and I'm sort of in between sizes with my full bust, so I'm between a large and an extra large. I chose a large. I should have chosen the extra large, but I'll tell you that when I show you the fabric. Now, why am I talking to you a sporty style shirt? Have you ever seen me in one? Do I wear sporty style things? Nope. I'm not a sporty casual type of person. So basically this is geared towards making this t-shirt in your team's colors. So you can go support your team or whatever, that sort of thing, because this is really good for color blocking, you know. But that is out of my context, you know. I'm not a sports fan or a sporty person, but there's always a way to make a pattern fancy, always a way. And it's got to do with the fabric and the style. I've had a fabric in my stash since last year, I believe. It's a leather look jersey. So on one side it looks like leather, it's got a sheen and everything, and on the other side it looks opaque. It's very structured, like super structured. It's stiff actually, and the stretch of it is not that much. A good recovery, but it's not that stretchy, not like the fabrics recommended, like Modo and Cupro and sportswear fabric, and the type that you know are going to give, you know, lots of give. And so considering that, I should have made an extra large, but I cut a large. But anyway, that's why you're going to see it's a little bit more snug on me, a little bit more snug. I'm going to show you two inspiration pictures. First is a t-shirt made out of leather. Now I have tried t-shirts like this in the mall here. I've seen clothes that are made out of pleather. Oh, they're so uncomfortable. I mean, you sweat in there. It's like, why would you wear a t-shirt made out of pleather, right? But it looks cool. It does look cool. And look at this burgundy one. I think it looks really cool. If you like just want to look awesome for a few minutes and sweat in there, you know. Then I found another one in the same color, and it's very sporty, very similar to this, with the V neckline, the little bands on the sleeve. And I thought, you know, a good mashup. But the mashup didn't come immediately. Me deciding to do a second little twist came through the process of making the t-shirt. So in Up Close and So Personal, I'm going to show you the options of the pattern, how I'm color blocking with the same fabric, the construction of the yokes, the lap V neckline, the band on the sleeve, and then comes the little hack, the little interest I'm adding on there to make this t-shirt totally different, totally my style, and a bit more fancy, you know, a little bit more fancy.
Don't you think this is starting to wear on me? You've been raining down like hail. I'm weak. I have tried to give you my soul, but you can't love something you won't.
Here are all the pieces for the t-shirt. You can see there's lots of pieces, but it's actually because of all the options offered. Here you can see the back that's cut on the fold. There is the back yoke. This is the front piece. These are the two yoke options that give you the different neckline options. So this one is the scoop neck. That goes with that neckband. And this is the V-neck that sort of overlaps a little bit, and that is the neckband for that one. There is the sleeve. There is a short sleeve. I've actually cut my piece to be short, and then 3/4 length option offered. These are my pattern pieces. Now I've got this leather look jersey. It's a quite stable knit. I'm playing with the leather look side and the opaque side of the jersey. I'm not sure you're going to see that in video. Maybe on the sleeve you can. The sleeve I'm going to do the opaque side, and the little contrast band on the arms, I'm doing it in the leather look one. On the front here, I want the leather look, and the yoke on the front, I want it opaque. And I'm going to have the leather look neckband to contrast there. On the back, I'm doing opaque at the bottom and the leather look on the top. So it's like some color blocking, but actually I'm just using the same fabric. I'm just playing with the right and the wrong side of fabric so that I could have that little different look. Okay, up close you can see the fabric in more detail. This is the opaque and this is the leather look. So that is what I'm playing there. Opaque, leather look, opaque. This is the back here, and this is the back yoke that I have sewn on together. You can see the contrast shiny bit there that looks like leather. It looks really nice. So on this side, I have just sewn with a 3/8 seam allowance, serged, put the seam allowance up towards the yoke, and then on the right side of the fabric I've just done one row of top stitching. Because I'm playing with right and wrong sides of fabric, it's really easy to get confused. Basically this is the top bit there of the yoke, and this is my right side. So I have to place this one like that there, and then this one like that. This shape there is a neckline. That is the arm side that matches this arm side. So every seam I'm doing, I'm actually pinning it and then turning it to see it on the right side to make sure I'm sewing the right thing, because it's really easy to get confused. I've pinned right on the edge, and now I just double check that that is how I want my t-shirt to look on the right side, and it's correct. I've got the leather look, the opaque look side there. Here you can see the little holes the pin leaves, and if I did that over there, I might just like ruin the look of the fabric, hence the precaution. I have the shoulder seams done and top stitched the same as I did the yoke there, so that I have that feature of the back yoke, you know, with the top stitching. That's just decorative. And now I have the neckband attached with pins. This neckband will crisscross here a little bit to form the V, but initially you sew it on just like that, or open. So this neckline has a shape. When you fold it in half, you can have that shape like that. Now you need to put it with that little bit of an overlap there from the front yoke. When this gets sewn, that bottom bit there is going to be straight. So that's why you need to do that. Band is a little bit shorter than all this area, and that's for any neckband. There are 2 neckband length options, and depends on how stretchy your fabric is. There is a shorter neckband option if you're using Modo or like other stretchier fabrics. Because this one is more structured, I chose the longer band. I've sewn on the neckband, and now here, you can see they're separate, and you have these little things to trim off there. Now these need to overlap. The seam allowance is 3/8 of an inch. If I come from the bottom here, now I want this to be super exact there in the V. I don't want this to cross over this way. So from the bottom here up at 3/8 of an inch, to get that precise intersection there, I need a little space right there, like 1/4 of an inch. Okay, if I overlap this too much, look what happens. When I'll sew this to the front piece, because this is the yoke area, at a 3/8 of an inch, this contrast band is gonna overlap there, and you have that little thing. I don't want that. I want it to be super exact like that. So that is the trick that I've found to make this work and look the way I want it to look, and is just to have a little bit of separation there, maybe 1/4 of an inch, just right there, and that when I sew at the correct seam allowance will give me a super crisp V neckline there at the bottom without this crossing over too much to that side. I've just done a little hand basting to hold that in place, and now I have this one here, which is the bottom of the front piece. This is opaque, this is the leather look, that's how I want it to look. So I'm going to flip that over, put them together, and then just sew at the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. This is how it looks on the inside. The band has been serged. You can see the overlap there, my seam allowance, and then the serging. I will be putting this seam allowance down, not up towards the yoke like I did in the back. This is how it looks up on the right side. You can see that I got that exactly like I wanted. I wanted that overlap to hit right there to match this one. I didn't want this to come over here further. I've cut the little bands with the leather look up. Now I've just put them through my bias tape maker, because this is such a stable knit, quite stiff actually. You can do that. I'm sure you can do that with other knits if you like spray it with starch. I think you could get this effect. Now the little fold lines are not that crisp, but they're just enough to help me guide. So on the sleeve here, about 1¼ inch from there, there's a line on the pattern that references where this should go. So I'm just going to carefully place it there, and I'm going to hand baste it with the same color thread. There, and then carefully sew it on. I am not going to trust just by doing pins, this is going to turn out looking that nice. And remember, I'm just working with a sewing machine. If you had other technology like cover stitch machines, I'm sure there are other techniques to do that. I've got the band hand basted on. I was very careful. Now having a cutting mat on my sewing area is super handy, because I was able to use these lines on the side as guides. So yeah, I'm really happy I got another one to put here, and plus it looks pretty when I film for you. So there you go, very on the edge, basically where I'm going to top stitch. So any little hole this needle made to baste is going to be within, you know, like what I'm going to do there.
to repair what we made.
Last minute decision, I decided to crop my t-shirt a little bit. I decided I really want this for some style of skirts. I would really like to have a tie front feature. I can't do that with a long t-shirt. And now here in the center with chalk, I've just drawn like a little thing. This is what, an inch tall maybe and half an inch wide, and it's just a little thing like that. I've cut a scrap piece that I'm gonna use like a facing. So I'm gonna actually place that on top there, and then I'm gonna transfer the marks again onto here, and I'm gonna sew that there. And then I'm gonna clip, clip, clip and turn this the other way so that I have this little like loop closed up. Here you can see my t-shirt. This is the visible part, the leather look part, and there's that little thing that I just drew on. It's not big, it's maybe 1.25 inches long by 1/2 inch wide, and then I just stitched really carefully that little loop, and this is gonna be like a facing. I've done all that thing inside, clipping all that seam allowance, all that, and I've turned it, and that's how it's going to look on the inside, and that's how it's going to look on the outside. I have pinned that there. I'm going to do a little bit of hand basting there, and then I'm going to do a top stitch around like that to hold it in place. This is slightly tricky to understand, but not really hard to do. I have got my bottom band pinned to the wrong side of the top. So this is the wrong side inside the top. And this is the right side of my band. So right band to wrong side of the top. Now these look the same because I'm playing with the contrast of opaque and shiny. But yeah, right side of the band to the wrong side of the shirt. That's pinned all the way around there. Now on the side that's not pinned, I have done a 3/8 guiding stitch. You can see it there. I'm going to remove that before I sew, and that helps me press and not burn my fingers too much. So I've done all that. Now when you get to this bit there where I've got this feature, this is where the tie stops. I have folded this onto each other and pinned it together to the bottom, pinned it all the way to the end. And I want to sew this but with an angle, so I've put my pins there to sew with an angle there, pivot, and then I'm going to stop sewing at this vertical pin. This pin is about 1/2 inch away from where this stops. This will allow me to flip this right sides out. Once I've flipped it right sides out, I can sew the whole thing. I'll show you the other side. I have already sewn it. You can see the angle there. I have clipped a bit of the excess seam allowance, and you can see that that stops there about 1/2 inch before this bit. This is just being pinned there, it hasn't been sewn, but I have sewn this first. So I'm just gonna turn this right sides out. It's a little bit fiddly, you know. That is one angle there, and then I have the tip there that is tucked in there. So I'm just gonna grab my seam ripper and try to pull it out very carefully. Okay, so that is my little tip right there. That's how it's gonna look. You can see this is already right sides out. It's all like finished. That's how the tie is gonna look. And now I can go ahead and sew. So I'm gonna finish sewing this, flip it right sides out like I did there. And then I can go ahead and start right there. You can see I've got that space there. Start sewing there, go all the way around and finish right there. Okay, now you're seeing the right side of the shirt facing. You can see that finish I did there for that little opening, and I have sewn on the band. You saw me turn this right sides out, and now I have this little gap there. Now the reason I decided to do it like this is because I want my top stitching to be done on the side I'm gonna see. If I'd done this the other way, I would have to sew in here, and then that might give me wonky top stitching right there. So I don't know, I'd rather control it from the front. So now I just have to line this up there, cover that little gap, and you can see my stitching line there, this foldy bit that I've already pressed with that guiding stitch. I just need to place it there. All the way around, I'm going to take the time to hand baste that on, all the way around, and then I'm going to reach this side Once I've got it hand basted, then I'm going to do top stitching there all the way around till I get to this side. And then this feature is done basically. Then these ties just, you know, tie up there in the front and look cute. I hope that was fun to watch. As you see, I was making the t-shirt as normal. As I showed you my inspiration picture with that burgundy t-shirt, that was just a normal length, and I had to move because the sun was in my face. So yeah, I was gonna make a normal t-shirt, just a regular t-shirt, and the interest was just gonna be the color blocking in the same fabric, playing with the leather look side and the opaque side. But when I was finishing it, I thought, you know, I want to wear this a little bit shorter with skirts. And then comes the second inspiration picture that I had seen also, that image was at the back of my mind, and I decided to add a little twist to it. And that's where the ties came from. Now I have 2 whole videos on the channel showing this tie feature. I think it's a feature I like to add, and I've added it in different places, like right on the side, sort of on the lateral bit, and now this one's straight in the middle. So I'm just rotating the ties around. Anyway, enough blab. Look at this. This is my game day jersey. There you can see that V neckline that is lapped. It looks exactly like I want it to look. I think the different contrast of the leather look with the opaque side makes it look really cool. Now I've just got one band here on the sleeve, and let me tell you, there is an amazing lady. She pattern tests for lots of pattern companies, and you have probably seen her photos around. Her name is Ilse, and she's a school teacher. She's part of the testing group for Love Notions, and she made her t-shirt super fancy with another fabric with gold speckles, beautiful. And she just put one band, and I was really inspired by that, and I decided to take inspiration from her. So no band on one side, just one band here. And I asked for her permission to show you her picture, and she said yes, of course. So this is what I'm talking about. This is her t-shirt I was inspired by. And I'll also leave a link to her blog and her Instagram profile. She's not on YouTube, but she's amazing style, very, very classy lady. So go and follow her. That's why I did that. And you can see the top stitching I've done there just to make it look a bit more interesting. I didn't do top stitching here. I never ever sew down neckbands. I don't like doing that. You know, when I ever have a cover stitch one day, then I'll probably do it with that. But with a sewing machine, I don't think it looks really nice. And yeah, I don't do it. There is the back. Now, the back is opaque, and so is the band. And the front is shiny. So I really couldn't cope with the whole t-shirt being entirely shining, looking like leather. I think just having this front area there is all the shiny I can take. I don't know. I like to stand out, but not that much. So there is the tie feature. I did that little top stitching there to hold that little facing. There is that little facing inside, and the ties that come up to there. And you saw how I did that, and I just love the effect and everything. I think this t-shirt, you know, it's exactly the t-shirt. Like, I didn't change the pattern at all, except for doing that little feature in the front and the tie and shortening it. I probably chopped off 10 centimeters or 4 inches from the original length. And then when I added this band, that is 4 centimeters wide there, it gives me the length that I wanted. Now, nowhere did I say how long this band was. Well, I just cut it the whole width of the fabric, so that is how much I had left over. And the ties don't need to be extra long, so I cut a strip 5 inches wide by the length of the whole fabric. And that is what I put there. I used a 3/8 seam allowance on one side and on the other, and that gives me that width there. I'll leave a detailed description in the description box with those measurements. It's just basically a rectangle, nothing special. Here you can see my game day jersey on with the tie there. I'm showing you it's not very long, just enough to create some interest at the front. And I think it gives a better shaping for my style, and that I want to wear it with a skirt that is this style as well. The ease around the t-shirt is perfect. You know, the fabric does not stretch much at all, but I think it's fine. Now up close you can see that top stitching there and the facing, and I'm just so proud of this little tie. I think it gives it all the extra special detail I love in my clothing. Up close here is the neckline and the yoke. Now forgive me, I was sweating. It was 37 degrees or 99 Fahrenheit when I filmed this yesterday, and my lipstick is like all falling off my face. So there is the band, one band. Initially, I wasn't going to try this pattern because I'm not a sports person. I don't have a team to cheer. I don't dress casually, but you know, this pattern is awesome and you can make it be whatever you want it to be. Just depends on your fabric choice. And I think this little tie detail and having it a bit shorter makes it super appropriate for wearing with half circle skirts or A-line skirts like I wanted it to be. This pattern is still on its release week and it's on a discounted price until Sunday, I believe, Sunday night. So if you like this style and you want to give it a go, it fits amazing. It's got a great size range. Have a go and use my affiliate link while you're at it. My link is always in the description box. If you decide to purchase through that link, I receive a small commission from that sale. Spend some more time on the channel. It's a place full of inspiration for your sewing, and I hope you enjoy what you're seeing. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye.